G'day, I'm David G, Sheshnagar Yoga Center. This video is about the impending change and the impending doom coming up to a very dark time on the planet. Why? Because we're on the cusp of the transition where we embrace our perception and the reality of our true nature, which is everywhere, all at once, and there's nowhere that it's not. But before this happens, I was talking to someone the other day, and they simply explained it, that some of this knowledge to do with the Sri Vidya, Hara Hara Mahadev, which is known as the royal science in Sanskrit, the return of the culture and the knowledge to do with something called the Sanatana Dharma, which is also Sanskrit, which means eternal purpose of the human being. Right? We're at a point where the knowledge relating to that is slowly creeping back into society through a bent and twisted way, where terms get misused and misinterpreted. But how else is this culture going to embrace a millennia-old philosophy when they already think they know everything? It's going to have to sneak in a little surreptitious way as an exercise. And then when people embrace it because they're vain and they're into the body and they want to look after themselves, maybe not so vain, but they need fitness, then the physical postures of yoga will assist. Ultimately, yoga is a bucket that you will never empty if you look into it. It is so full of knowledge and self-understanding and wisdom that you cannot deny the accuracy of such knowledge. The only thing is, we're incarnate at this period because it is a very painful experience. Everyone that's here deserves to be here. Everyone that's here chose to be here on some level. If it was not meant for you, it would not be happening. But in the West, we live in an economically dominated society where most people are working most of their lives, and each year there's 4 banks in Australia that are making 16 billion profit, whereas the everyday person's working their butt off to maybe get 40 or 50,000. It's totally insane, but we're at the end, or we're at the peak of how distant we are from our Creator. We are the most distant collectively we have ever been, following the century of the self and self-endorsement. We are under the influence primarily of one culture on this planet. That is one of the youngest cultures on the planet that does not endorse the sacredness or the knowledge or wisdom relating to the ancients or the ancient techniques, information. The youngest culture on this planet wants to create some world that's dominated financially. That's cool, I'm not going to go into it too much. I just want to talk about my human framework, how painful it is for me to cope in this human framework when there is so much division, so much dominance, so much avidya. The majority of people do not know that they are a soul incarnate. They still endorse a rugby league team or a nation as a part of them and go we, because their identification of themselves involves that outer aspect. They even go to war for people like their misidentification. But that's cool, it's all just. It is all just. There is nothing that is unjust at this point in time. The only drama is how to survive when the earth is engulfed with the epitome of evil. And I'm not talking terrorists, mate. I'm not talking Bin Laden. Bin Laden was created. I don't want to get into it. I'm talking about the people behind the scenes that are backing the government, that are doing these sanctions and shit on countries that don't agree with them and things like that. I'm talking about people that don't embrace every other country, irrespective of their beliefs and values. It's all weird. I'm talking about the system that 1,500 media outlets throughout the planet are owned by 6 companies. And those 6 companies send the words that they want told to the general masses to each of those 1,500 outlets. I don't know what the answer is. All I can tell you is survival is the key. We've got to, as a species, learn to embrace adversity and pain and misfortune, because we're living on this spectrum where at the top of the wave we're feeling the joy, but inevitably when you're at the top of the wave there's only one way down, and that's to the trough. And what's waiting at the trough? Some sort of pain. That's just the way it is. But hopefully we can get up to the other trough. Ultimately, the way I see it, I believe the world is collectively on the verge of the biggest step in evolution of consciousness, or a switch in their mind from one understanding to another. We're on the very peak of the verge of that. The transformation is happening. All you got to do is survive the pain, embrace it if you can, but things will be getting a bit worse before they get better, as the epitome of evil is like that frog, the picture of the frog in the stork's throat, where he's going down head first and he's holding the throat, saying never give up. That's why the world is so tumultuous at the moment, because the dirty bastard sons of Belial are out there with their last grasp, never give up, for world domination and control and suppression of the masses. Well, I'm not up for it. I'm going to fight for the people, man. I'm the Marshesh Naga. I'll just try and do it quietly though. Peace. Sheshnag.com. Donate. What on Earth is Kundalini series. You can download for free PDFs. Peace.